When it comes to what's happening in Wayne County and the North Carolina area, look no further than Taylor House Publishing. If you have a story that needs to be told, please contact us via email at taylorhousepublishing@gmail.com.
All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Richard Taylor, and I'm back with another video from Taylor House Publishing. Now, a lot of people have been asking me about the Mike Cox situation. Now, if you're not familiar with the situation, Mike Cox was the Wayne County Sheriff Deputy here in Goldsboro, North Carolina, that was charged in a multi-count indictment last year around August. The indictment consisted of about 15 or 16 charges, federal charges, including distribution of drugs, conspiracy, wire fraud, mail fraud, and a whole bunch of other indictments. Now, you can go look at the previous video to get a detailed, in-depth look of those charges. However, earlier this year, a few months ago, Mike Cox entered a guilty plea in federal court in Wilmington, North Carolina, till about 3 of the charges, if I'm not mistaken, and the rest of the charges were dropped as a part of that said plea agreement. Now, Mike Cox, who's still in custody in Brunswick County, has been awaiting sentencing since that day that he pled guilty. Now, in a federal court, what they do before you get sentenced is give the defendant a pre-sentencing report. Now, what the pre-sentencing report details is certain factors or certain histories concerning the defendant to give the judge a determining factor on how to sentence the defendant. So in this case, the judge will consider Mr. Cox's family history, his community ties, his educational background, his employment history, his physical, mental, and emotional health, history of substance abuse, his financial conditioning, and the willingness to accept responsibility for his or her offenses. Now, this pre-sentencing report is given to the defendant and his lawyer, and they have 30 days to respond to the pre-sentencing report, detailing or countering any information that they feel is relevant or irrelevant to the case. So what I received last week is this motion that was filed by Mike Cox's lawyer. Now, his lawyer in this case is Mr. Hart Miles of Cheshire, Parker, and Schneider. Now, this motion is another ploy or another attempt by Mr. Cox's lawyer to delay sentencing. Now, this is a motion to continue sentencing hearing, but also a motion to file an extension to respond to the pre-sentencing report. Now, as I mentioned, the pre-sentencing report is given unto Mike Cox and his lawyer, and they have 30 days to respond, counter, or answer questions detailing this report. Now, as this motion says, this report was given to Cox and his lawyer on July or June the 30th, right? Excuse me, I'm sorry. The undersigned counsel received the draft pre-sentencing report on July the 16th. And those objections are presently due on July the 30th, which was yesterday. So what this motion has done, and I'll show you this, the counsel said that they need additional time. Now, this is Senate 7. The counsel said they need additional time to gather records pertinent to the response of the draft of the PSR. Now, what are they saying? They want to get records concerning his, family history, his mental health, his substance abuse, his employment history, his community ties, to respond to what is presented in the pre-sentencing report. But also, paragraph 8, once again, is, in my opinion, very telling. It says, paragraph 8 says, the undersigned counsel further requests this additional times in hopes to have discussions with the government and with the U.S. probation officer regarding any factual responses and possible objections to the draft pre-sentencing report prior to filing any objections. So what he's saying is he wants to continue talking with the government to see if we can come to some kind of terms, possible objections or possible responses. How can we respond to these things that you are putting in this pre-sentencing report regarding my client's responsibility, his standing in the community, his employment history, and the like. So what they're once again trying to do is continue talks with the government, hoping to reach some sort of sentencing agreement that is conducive to Mike Cox. Now, of course, we know that the plea agreement has remained sealed. However, that lets people know who in the know or causes people to have some suspicions that, once again, Mike Cox may be cooperating with the federal government, meaning that these talks, these further requests, the additional times in hopes to have discussion with the government, are attempts to further negotiate some sort of leniency for Mr. Cox. Now, also paragraph 9 states, in order to afford counsel for the parties to have time to have these discussions, the undersigned counsel requests an extension of the deadline to respond to the PSR until August the 30th. So what they're saying is, okay, we were supposed to have these responses and objections in by July 30th, which was yesterday. But we are asking that you would give us 30 more days to talk with y'all, to talk with the probation officer, to talk with everybody involved to see if we can get these responses and objections in order. And as you see, the U.S. District Attorney Duffy has indicated that the government has no objection to this request for a 30-day extension of time to file a response to the draft PSR and continue the sentencing hearing. So what has happened is the U.S. District Attorney Dennis Duffy has given Mike Cox and his attorney more time to file a response to that pre-sentencing motion. And now that the sentencing that was previously set for August the 20th has now been moved back to September the 17th, 2024, which is a month and a half. Now that means that, Mike Cox, who was the deputy that was caught up in all sorts of debauchery in his performance of sheriff deputy, who was supposed to be protecting and serving, he's going to have another month and a half to wheel and deal, as many people think that he has been doing. So we're going to have to wait and see what this sentencing is going to bring forth. We all know about qualified immunity. Police officers have certain privileges that the regular citizens don't have when they are implicated in these such crimes. Many people feel that he's probably going to just get probation, no time served. If he gets time served, it'll be like a minimal sentence, maybe a year or two or what have you. But we're going to keep you updated on this. Now, also, people feel that, once again, he and some others may be in cooperation with the federal government. So there may be some other charges handed down among law officials here in Goldsboro and Wayne County. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. But I just wanted to give you this update. A lot of people are still, wondering. As you know, Chris Worth also entered a plea last week in the same federal courthouse of the charges of mail fraud. Now, Chris Worth never saw the inside of a jail. I was told that because of his connections to, or his alleged connections to former Governor Mike Easley, that is why that he never saw the inside of a jail cell. Nevertheless, these two officers have been implicated. People feel that both officers may be cooperating with the federal government to also implicate other higher-ups in this Wayne County law enforcement judicial system as well. So we're going to keep an eye on it. With 919-587-7782, I thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the video. Much love, peace, and blessings. If you have a story that you feel needs to be told, feel free to reach out. Once again, 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings. Y'all have a good day.